boys, welcome back to another week of the Foxes FPL wrap up. What a week it's been. Christmas, you can see I'm in the Christmas spirit. Not only is it Christmas time and I'm wearing the Christmas hat, I also came top of the league this week, so I've got my crown on. That's what I do. Alright, it's been a big week, boys. We've had a lot of interesting games, a lot of interesting results, table changes. The top of that table is now looking real tight, top first to fifth now is only 19 points separated. A bunch of changes in the teams. Some players doing some crazy things, some people doing some pretty safe things. There was a lot of safe stuff this week. A lot of basic changes, a lot of basic captains. Even though a lot of people went Salah and listened to the advice and going for Salah, didn't pay off this week. Didn't do much, did he? That result against West Brom this morning really disappointed me. Killed a lot of people's captain choices, killed a lot of people's points for the week. So let's get down to a few of the results and see what played out. So, starting off the round, obviously we had the Leicester Man U game. What a big game that turned out to be. 2-2, run pretty much by Bruno Fernandes. So if you were brave enough to take a punt on Bruno as your captain, well done, because it would have paid off. He was pretty much the man of the week. So it was a tough game. You guys had a pretty back and forth kind of thing. One up, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2. Not a bad game. Again, it's Bruno Fernandes' team pretty much. If he doesn't perform, Manchester United don't perform. So what turned out to be a decent draw in the end wasn't too bad for the whole league. So it was a good start. Another one that was a bit of an upset and a bit of a disappointment was the Fulham Southampton game. Good for the defence side of things, obviously. Southampton players got their clean sheets, but anybody that had Ings or Che Adams or Ward-Prowse in their team didn't pay off. He blanked on everybody. So that kind of sucked. Sucked a lot of our points out. But, it is what it is. But a couple of good clean sheets. I'm going to touch on a player like Benderek. Is he a guy that needs to come into most people's teams? If you're looking for a defensive filler, he's actually been quite solid this year. So, not a bad player, and the price is pretty good. So, touch on him sooner. Another game was the Aston Villa Crystal Palace game, and poor Palace in like a week have shipped 10 goals in 2 games. Just getting absolutely pummeled, and that game was pretty much run by Grealish. What I found with that guy is, unfortunately, he's the guy before the assist. So he pretty much runs the whole game. He'll dance around players or do magnificent things, but he's not registering enough points on the board at the moment, purely because he gives the ball to Watkins, where Watkins should be scoring, and then he's laying off an assist to someone else to score. Like, Ollie got 3 bloody assists this week, but it was all pretty much created by Jack being amazing. So, is it time to maybe move on Jack, or is he going to come back around? I'm going to touch on Villa's run in a couple of in a bit. They've got a pretty tough run coming up. But if we all recall, Aston Villa against the big guys kind of really outperformed themselves. So another big game. The biggest game of the round, obviously, the biggest upset was obviously the Arsenal-Chelsea game. No one saw this coming. Arsenal have been terrible this whole season. To go to Arsenal, play the kids, and then absolutely run them off the park was un-Arsenal-like all season. So, terrible result for Chelsea. Timo Werner is, at this point in time, a giant flop. Very expensive, very wasteful in front of goal. Bloody Kai Havertz can't even really get in the team at the moment. So, Lampard needs to change something quick now. He's not going to get a lot of time. His owner is obviously a guy to pull the trigger pretty quick, and if he starts tumbling down the table after spending the amount of money they did this off-season, going to be in a bit of trouble. But for Arsenal, on the other hand, they saved Arteta's job, I think. Arteta getting a result. I said he was going to be out by January. If he didn't get results against Chelsea and in the next 2 games, then the writing was on the wall. He was done and dusted. Getting this result, I think, saved his job. He's going to get another 6 months. Maybe you probably just get to the end of the season now. There's nothing in it for Arsenal. They're not going to win Europa League spots. They're not going to get to a Champions League spot. They're just going to have a season out. So maybe it's time to play some of the kids, find out what they're made of, offload some dead wood. Another safe, obviously, game we saw coming, a result we saw coming, was the Man City Newcastle. 2-0. everybody's seen it coming. It was pretty straightforward on the books. If you took one of my advice earlier in the week and got the differential captain choice of Sterling, it would have paid off a little bit. Got the assist. Torres and Gundogan getting on the score sheet, but basically Newcastle weren't there. Man City just ran them off the park, had more possession, basically just didn't give them a sniff, really. The other result, Everton over Sheffield, 1-0. No Calvert-Lewin, didn't get the score, get the goal, but he got the assist. So another point for Calvert-Lewin. This guy's been weird. He hasn't scored in 4 games, but he's returned points in those 4 games, and Everton have won in those 4 games. So take that as you may. Do you bank on him being a big point getter, or do you just have him in your team because he's relatively cheap, and he's going to collect a couple of 5-6 points every week for the assist? I don't know. Maybe it's time to move him on. We'll go over it in a bit more detail. Another good game was the Leeds game. Anybody that took my advice and captained Bamford as that long shot really paid off this week. So Leeds defence getting clean sheets, Captain Patrick Bamford getting the goal from the penalty. That was a very good game, that Burnley-Leeds game. Turned out only 1-0, but it was a very entertaining game. The other entertaining game of the week was the West Ham-Brighton game. That turned out to be a goal fest, bit of a shootout. So that West Ham defence got a bit tattered, but Souček getting on the board again seems to be the differential guy for West Ham. Morpay getting back on the score sheet. It was a bit of a topsy-turvy kind of game, so I can't say it's a good result or a bad result for either team. It's kind of a result. They didn't lose, and that seemed to turn out to be what Sunday night, Monday morning's results were. Just draws all around. West Ham with the 2-2 draw. Liverpool going to West Brom, winning 1-0 the whole game, and then just letting in a stupid goal. Absolutely terrible defending, terrible. Shouldn't have been a corner in the first place. They should have just dealt with it, but Liverpool doing Liverpool things, have another chance to go clear at the top when everybody else is kind of dropping points around them, and of course we dropped the points too. So Salah, if you captained him, kind of screwed everybody. It didn't do anything. It was absolutely useless. In these kind of games, I think Klopp should really be pulling players off quicker than he does, just to give the boot up the arse of some of these players that think that they can just run around for 90 minutes and do nothing. So then we go to the Wolves game, and what a game that turned out to be too. That first minute Ndombele goal, that was a belter of a shot. And then the last 5 minutes of the game, Romain Saiss getting up for the header and finishing that. So Spurs doing typical Spurs things. They go 1-0 up and they just sit back and defend when they really should be pushing for a second goal. It's cost them twice now. So, they're sliding down the table a bit, where they've come down to now. They're at bloody 5th place after the last 4 games not getting a win. So that's not good for Spurs. But their run in is looking real good. So we're going to go over some good players coming up in the weeks. And, they're one of those teams that has a decent run. So, but yeah, so that was the week's games. So let's jump right in and talk about the winners and the losers for the week. And as you guys can see, repping the Foxes top this week, because when you're the king of the week, you've got to rep the Foxes top for the FPL league, alright? So, boys, looking forward to another season with us, and good shirt. So, top of the table this week was obviously, like I mentioned, that was myself. So, benefit of doing these videos is I'm studying and learning a lot more about the guys and the teams than I normally would. So I'm taking a bit more of my own advice and putting in these players that seem to be good differentials and seem to be paying off lately. So last few weeks I've done all right. Climbing back up, closing that gap in that top 1. So it's only 19 points from 1st to 5th. That's really closed up, considering 4 or 5 weeks ago it was about 60 points. So yeah, getting close, boys. But my team pretty much this week, the whole back line paid off. Martinez, 10 points. Diaz, Dallas, and Walker-Peters all cleaning up, getting a clean sheet and some bonus points. Captain Salah, like I mentioned, kind of let me down. I only got the 2 points. But I had Fernandes in that midfield, so getting 12 points there, did well. De Bruyne and Grealish, as I mentioned, those 2 guys, they didn't get me any points this week. And when I look at De Bruyne, he hasn't really gotten a lot of points in the last 4 weeks. So, he has a few tough games coming up. Do I move him out? Do I bring in someone else for that kind of money? Maybe it's something I'll touch on a bit more. So same as Grealish, as I said, he seems to be the guy that's creating everything before the assist. So last week, obviously, he got 10 points and 2 assists, but a few weeks before that, he's gotten 2, 3, and 2. So with their run coming up, they've got what they got here? Chelsea, Man U, Tottenham. So they've got a very difficult run coming up, but they do play very well against the bigger boys that like to come out and play against them. And when they open up, they find Grealish between the lines, and he just devastates teams. Remember, obviously, that Liverpool game earlier in the year. So it's one of those kind of guys, do we punt on him for 3 weeks and like free hit it basically with him, considering that he's up against the big boys? Maybe he's going to rack up some points, maybe he's just going to blank again. What do we do? He's not terribly expensive, or is he only just shy of 8 mil? So he's worth a bit of money, but I don't know. I'm still undecided as to what to do with Aston Villa players for the next few weeks. Back to my team, obviously Adams up front, he blanked. Calvert-Lewin, he blanked, so no good there, but Bamford getting me 8 points. So, but my bench was where the real disappointments were at. I got Souček and Saiss on the bench, both 10 points. Like, realistically, I wasn't going to bring either of them two on. There wasn't a player on the field that I would have subbed on for them. So I can't be too disappointed. I made the decision, but at least I know I've got a couple of decent players on the bench that can score some points for the coming week. So, but yeah, so a good week for me. Not a terrible week. 62 points all up. Made two transfers out. So like I did with Luke a couple of weeks back, he had transfer of the week. This week, I believe I got transfer of the week. After looking over everybody in the league's transfers, there was no extravagant transfers that turned out to be really good. Mine, though, on the other hand, I took out Kilman and Chilwell and brought in DS and Dallas. Both of them getting clean sheets, so 12 points in. Took a -4 to get him in, but still paid off quite well. So that seems to be the best transfer for the week. So not only top of the league for the week, also got best transfer for the week. So if only I captain Bamford, and we would have been alright. Alright, so moving on to second place this week. Now, again, I hate it. I fucking hate it, but Aiden doing so well in the last few weeks. Got to give him props. Sitting in second place this time, he got a 57 points, so it wasn't far behind me. Me and him are climbing up the tables together. He seems to be listening. Whatever I'm saying, whatever points I'm pointing out, he keeps paying attention to them. So, well in young Aiden. Unlike my defence, your defence had one fault in it. Soufal obviously getting the 1 point. You didn't really have anyone else to bring on, so other than him and Bowen for West Ham blanking, that was pretty much when Kane and Adams you've got, they blanked as well, but there wasn't a lot of blanks there. Obviously, Captain Salah too, so the 2 points into 4, not a great return, but having Dallas and Keane and Martinez in goal, Bamford up front, KDB and Fernandes, obviously Fernandes being the linchpin for the week. Anybody that had Fernandes in the team, which most people should have Fernandes in their team, obviously turned out to have a decent week. So, but yeah, so not a bad week. 57 points, climbs him a little closer to the top. As I said, we're closing that gap now. So he did make a couple of changes. He took out Konza and Wilson. Took my advice. Did say yeah, Wilson out. Boy, didn't even play this week. So good choice getting him out, bringing in Che Adams. It didn't cost you anything. You had 2 free transfers. So I know Adams blanked, but got you 2 points that you wouldn't have had. So not a bad result. And obviously Newcastle kind of have a real bad run going. So anybody sitting on Wilson in their team, get him out. He's not gonna get you any points. I don't know why he didn't play against last week against bloody Man City. I don't think he was injured, but yeah, good thing he didn't, because didn't do anything anyway. Alright, so that wraps up the winners for the round. So now we move on to the losers for the round. And boy, there's some fucking losers this round. Alright, so coming in bottom of the table, some guy that started this season off tremendously well is now burnt so bad. Like literally a fireball of wreckage on fire right now. 29 points this week. It was a terrible week. I don't think I've seen a week this low. I'll be surprised if anybody in game week 18 gets less than 29 points. It's a very bad week. Now this is Jake. Obviously, Jakey boy, not having any luck with any of his team this week, other than Bamford scoring points and Vardy scoring a few points. Everybody else blanked, just flat out. Schmeichel, Dyer, Chilwell, Thiago, Zaha, Calvert-Lewin, they all not racking up any points. Like Ward-Prowse fine, got the clean sheet bonus, and Son, he got assist? No, clean sheet. Oh, clean sheet. He must have been off the field by the time they conceded. So fine, they got the clean sheet bonus, but nothing. Nobody on your bench any good. Like just a terrible week all round. So my advice, if you've got your wild card heading into game week 16, use it, because there's some players in here that I would be moving out real fast. People like Dyer, Thiago Silva, like Zaha, getting those kind of guys out. Even Calvert-Lewin, maybe making a big change, big splash. If you've got that wild card, use it. Game week 16 is after that. Game week 17 is going to reset it. So use it, build that team for game week 19 and onwards. So, but yeah, Jake boy, poor boy, finishing bottom this week. Loser for the week. So that drops him down. What? Oh, he doesn't even move on the table. Fuck, that's a lucky result. Doesn't even move down a spot. So got lucky this week, I guess. So looking to see something big out of you next week, all right, Jake? Second to bottom this week, we got old mate Matty. So he's had a good couple of weeks, sitting closer to the top of the table for the last few weeks and climbing up to first at one point. Now he's back down a bit. So but this week, 36 points. Took 3 transfers as well, so a -4 hit. Took out, this is probably the weirdest transfer for the week. He took out Son and Kane and Rodriguez. He brought in Salah, Firmino and Bowen. Now, Salah, fine, I can understand. Bowen, differential choice, fine. But Firmino? Don't get me wrong, he's had 2 good weeks, but I know Firmino, that guy will score when everybody else doesn't. And Salah and Mane are going to pick up, so I don't see Firmino banging in many goals anytime soon. And to top it all off, Kane and Son have probably the best run of the next 3 or 4 weeks coming up. They've got Fulham, Leeds, Aston Villa, Sheffield United. It's 4 games that they're going to score points in. Like Fulham, they should win. Leeds will be goals. Aston Villa, obviously a bit of a tougher game, but could still very much score. And Sheffield United, they'll score. So that's 4 games that you've just moved them out of to what? Bring in Firmino, hoping that he does something against Newcastle and Southampton? Like, you think Newcastle, Southampton for Liverpool is easier than Spurs versus Fulham and Leeds? I don't know. That's a big call. Maybe you're going to be right, maybe you're going to be wrong, but I'm putting my money on you're going to be wrong. So that's definitely the weirdest transfers for the week, and you took a -4 to do that too. Like, Rodriguez, fine, he's been injured, he's been out, and I think even if he comes back, they got Man City next week, so fine. But, yeah, bringing in Firmino, big call. Getting rid of Son and Kane. I at least would have kept one of them, not both of them out, so. But yeah, so go to his team, you're looking at Pope blanking in goals, making a ton of saves, but still keep conceding. Mings getting a -2. Dyer blanking. Only Keane for Everton getting 8 points and a couple of bonus points there. Fernandez with the 12, obviously. Started captain Salah, so he got the 4. Grealish blanked, Ward-Prowse blanked, Bowen blanked, Calvert-Lewin blanked, and Firmino blanked. So just no real luck in that week at all. But as I said, like, Bowen is a bit of a differential. He's only owned by 5%, but in the last 5 weeks he's only got 1 assist. So maybe he missed a boat. I don't know. Weird decision bringing him in. So I don't know. So yeah, on your bench though, you did have the Leeds boys, Bamford and Ayling, so I don't know why you didn't bring them on and play them, especially considering they had Burnley. So I would have, if it was myself, I would have definitely not played Bowen and had at least one of those 2 on, and I would have probably had, if it was Mings, like, you kind of got unlucky with Mings getting the red card, but Keane maybe, I would have taken Keane off and had an Ayling on. So maybe a few mistakes there, putting the wrong guys on the bench, but cost you this week. So tumbling down the ladder a little bit as well. I think he dropped despite, big old Tyler coming screaming back up that table. So, but yeah, so that wraps up the bottom guys for the week. I think I went bottom 2 this week to keep it a little bit shorter. Now, there's a guy that I want to touch on for this week. He's a guy that I always rip into every single week because he does weird shit. And I mean like weird shit every week. And that's Blake. Like, he had a good game week, but again, did weird shit. Blake, stop doing weird shit, man. Like, fuck. We've got game week 19 coming up. I've been banging on about it in the group chat for fucking ages, saying don't do anything crazy. Pre-plan for game week 19. Free hit if you've got it right on game week 19 to bring in as many double game week players as you can. And what do? You use your free hit this game week. Now, granted, your team wasn't great, but still, the double game week is a double game week. You can rack up some points. Where this week, sure, you finished 3rd in the table, got 57 points, but 3rd in the table with 57 points over everybody else who got like 40 odd isn't a big jump. Saying that, you did climb up the table. You went up, 2 spots? So you made a bit of a move, but is it going to cost you? Is the question. Coming into game week 18, 19. Got to be thinking a little bit smarter. Got to just pre-plan things a little bit. Now, if we break down your team, Pickford in goals, fine. You got the 5 points. Robertson blanked, which was unfortunate. It was fine. It was his mistake that cost us, so kind of deserved it. Stones and Mina getting the clean sheets. You had Souček on the field, which is a good call. Mane, you brought in the Mane. Told you, differential player. Not owned by a lot of people, 8%. Scored points in the back-to-back. Scored 2 goals, 2 in 2 games. So keep your eyes on Mane. I can see that guy doing some more. And you had Salah, De Bruyne, fair enough. Both blanked, unfortunate. Calvert-Lewin, Adams, and Bamford. It's pretty much the front line that I have. It's pretty much the team that I have minus Mane. So it wasn't a bad team you brought in, but again, it was only for the week. Alioski on the bench, going 6. There's probably no one I would have had him on for. So, it's one of those well done, but it's also a backhand at the same time for being an idiot. So, cost yourself in the future. I can see this coming back to hurt you. So, well done, but unlucky, I guess. Pay attention more. Fuck. Alright, so, we go on to the next section I want to talk about. It's some players that I believe are going to be worth discussing or moving out of your teams heading into the weeks. So, first one up is KDB for Man City. Now, for the last, 4 weeks, he hasn't blanked. He's got 3, 4, 5, 3. So it's not a 1 or a 2 or a 0. It's still some points, but he's just not doing anything of major note. He's got 1 assist in 4 games. And obviously gets the clean sheet bonus. Obviously gets bonus points because he's pretty pivotal. And they've got Everton, Chelsea coming up. So is he a guy that we move out of the teams this week? He is very expensive. You're looking at 11.7 mil. That's a lot of money, and you can free up to bring in someone like a Son, a Mane, a Kane, or something like that into your team. So, I know after that, game week 18, 19 onwards, they've got a very good run. They've got Brighton, Crystal Palace, West Brom, Sheffield, Burnley. So they've got 5 games there that are going to be a pummeling for whoever there is in front of them. Maybe. That's if they get their finger out over this Everton-Chelsea side of game. So, my personal thought, I'm going to be moving out KDB. I'm going to be bringing in a Mane or a Son, probably a Son or a Kane, one of those two. They've got a very good run coming in. I don't trust Liverpool that much. I'm still sticking with the whole, if you've got a Salah, keep Salah over Mane. But if you've got neither, and you're going to look to bring one in and you're not sitting at the top echelons of your tables, bring in Mane. He's going to be the guy that's going to be the differential for you. Owned by 8%. He's a little bit cheaper than Salah. Definitely bring him in. Maybe not double up. I don't believe Liverpool are going to run through Newcastle or Southampton. I've watched pretty much all their games this year, and they've been flaky. They turn up against Crystal Palace and smack them for 7, but then they turn up against West Brom and get locked out by Sam Allardyce. I don't know. So, yeah. So, KDB. Good or bad? That's the question. Another player that I've got doubts about is Grealish. So that boy, he's had like I said, he's the player before the pass. So he's been pivotal in all of our games this year. He's obviously the best player on that team. But lately he's been the guy that's drawing 2 or 3 guys to him. Then he plays the pass to the free man. That free man makes the run. They play the ball into the box. They score a goal. But he's not getting bonus points or anything for that. He's just running the game effectively. He's doing everything but getting no real FPL rewards. Now, like I said, Aston Villa do have a very tough run coming up. They've got Chelsea, Man U and Tottenham. So, do you leave him in your team knowing that those 3 teams are going to come out and going to play against Aston Villa, and Aston Villa love to sit back, counter and hit between the lines, and that's where Grealish shines? Or do you move him out knowing that they're playing those 3 teams and they're probably going to lose them and it wouldn't be expected to win? Who knows? My personal thought, I'm probably going to stick with him for one of the games, especially against Chelsea, who are a bit flaky at the moment. If he performs really well against Chelsea, I might leave him in for the Man U Tottenham games. If he doesn't, and he kind of ghosts in that Chelsea game, then I might just take him out and find a replacement. Probably, again, a Kane, a Salah, a Son, a Mane, someone else like that. So, yeah, that's another one to keep your eyes on. I do have, in my personal team, I have a very good bench of Souček and Saiss, so I can swap in players pretty easily. I can just do a one-man swap, so it leaves me with a few choices. On to choices, especially if you're looking for a defensive choice. Benderek, Southampton. Telling you right now, that boy, good choice. I know Walker Peters is quite cheap. He's only 4.8 mil, and he's been pretty decent this year. He's returned points every kind of third game. So he's not a bad choice to have back there. But Jan Benderek, owned by 10% of the league, 4.8 mil, but seems to be getting quite a decent points return. Is what, the 4th best defender, 65 points, only behind Zuma, Robertson and Chilwell, but for way less money. That Southampton defence is looking golden for the price. So is Liverpool going to come in and buy him, considering that's what Liverpool used to do, just buy up the Southampton squad? I don't know. We are looking for a centre-back. Maybe Benderek is the guy. I don't know. Maybe Vestergaard. Maybe we're going for old mate Vestergaard, the big Norwegian. But yeah, if you're looking for a defensive replacement, Benderek's your guy. Obviously, Kurt Zuma was pretty good. He's a danger in the box from corners and things like that, so don't rule him out. But Chelsea's defensively has been pretty shaky. So, touching on Chelsea games, Tammy Abraham's back in form again, of course. So does say he's doing well, I bring him in, he ghosts, then he gets kicked out of the team, and they take him out, then he goes back in the team and scores a bunch of goals. Just how it goes with the bloody Chelsea roulette at the moment. But yeah, Tammy Abraham scoring again this weekend. Where is he? Let's find him in this list here. There he is. 6 more points this week, another goal. The last 2 game weeks, he's gotten 3 goals. 13 points last week, 6 points this week. Now, obviously, they lost against Arsenal, but he was still a bright spark for them. They've got, like I said, a pretty crappy run coming up of Aston Villa, Man City, and then a bye for game week 18. But then after that, they have a pretty decent run. They've got Fulham, Leicester in their double game week. So maybe if he can string this form together for another couple of weeks heading into the break, maybe he's a differential striker to bring in. Replace someone like a Bamford or someone up front like a Che Adams with a Tammy Abraham. Left Fulham, Leicester, if he's still in form, still in that team, I don't think Timo Werner's going to be in there much more. He's probably going to have his time out. Chelsea and Lampard are getting a bit sick of the constant misses. That guy's got 4 goals this year for like a $50 million striker. Guys come in as their leading line. I know he's been played kind of out of position on the left-hand side, but still should be doing better than he is, especially if Olivier Giroud, the 50-year-old man with a walker and Zimmer frame, is beating him. So, but yeah, so that's another differential player to keep your eyes on. Now, a couple of changes for the teams that people did this week. A couple of transfers that were a bit hectic. Luke subbed out Fernandez for Salah. Now, I know I've been saying get Salah in your team, Salah will score points, blah, blah, blah. But still, I always said Fernandez will score you points. So you made a bold move, my friend, taking out Fernandez for Salah. I'd be trying to get both of those guys in the team. Wild card, coming up, game week 17, so maybe wait until then, but kind of didn't pay off in your favour this week, did it? Subbed him out. So that's definitely down in the books for the worst transfer of the week. Another transfer that I'm very proud of is Jack finally getting rid of Aubameyang out of that team, because fuck me. I think he's been in your team since game week 1, and he's done nothing. Obviously, he's out injured now, and that's just a sump of money that you've had sitting in your team for this whole season. So now you finally moved him on. You must have a bit of money in your bank to be able to make some decent changes to get you back up the table, because, you went up 1 this week. You're up a spot. Let's see if you can climb and catch Luke and Mark. They're a bit of a points gap ahead of you. But let's see if you can climb your way back up there. So let's finally move on, in saying that, to the table itself. Now, as I mentioned, Sean sitting at the top of the table, hasn't moved. Had an average game week, only 41 points this week. So what it meant was the gap between the top 5 is really closed up. As I said, 19 points now, boys. It's really closing. I'm coming for you. I'm going to get it. I'm going to wear this crown again next week. I'm going to get top spot. So, yeah, Sean, 41 points this week, sitting a total of 903, no movement. Next up, got Tyler sitting, where are we? Put it over here. Got Tyler sitting second with 43 points this week. 898, so only 5 points off. But, he came up over a spot this week. So overtook Matt. Matt dropped a spot, down 1 spot. He had the terrible week of 36 points. There's Aiden with 57 points. Up in still in 4th spot. Me with 62, still in 5th spot. But I closed that gap on your whip. Closing it, man. Down to 5 points, man. 19 points to the top, 5 points to you. I'm getting there. Dropping another spot this week is Brett. You're tumbling down, man. You hit top spot, you're flying, you're a peak Brett. And then ever since that point, it's just been doop, 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 doop. 6th spot. Come trashing down into that table. Soon you're going to be caught by Luke and Mark, man. You're going to be ended up 7th and 8th. And no one's going to know who you are anymore. So, you've got to turn that shit around, man. Find what's gone wrong. Get in some solid players. Find the differential. Get it going. Solid as ever, Mark and Luke. So, Luke in 7th, Mark in 8th. Those boys have been steadily climbing up the table. Only 2 points between you now, though. Mark's slowly catching you, Luke. And that's that Fernandez change. If you kept Fernandez, didn't bring in Salah, off for Fernandez, you would have had an extra 10 points. You would have been fine and clear and daisy. But you took the chance, and it didn't pay off. So, down to 9th, coming up a spot, is, as I said, Jack. Finally getting rid of that Aubameyang. So, that's helping him out. Move him up the table a bit. 10th spot is Andrew. Obviously, he's dropping down a spot. Everybody else climbing around him. So, 45 points for the week. There's not a big gap between you and Jack, though. So, used to swap it around pretty regularly now. So, 11th place and 12th place stay the same. Cashy and Jake. Somehow, Jake, with that 29 points, you didn't drop. God knows. But you definitely let the other guys below you catch up. So, Blake's coming for you, man. 801 points for you, and Blake's on 793. So, he's closing that gap again. So, Blake, as I said, in 13th, coming up 2 spots this week. 2 spots. I hope that free hit was worth it. You got 2 extra spots, but we'll see what happens when everybody gets to game week 19 and they play theirs or they're preparing for it. So, be prepared. I've got a video coming out how to play for the game week 18-19 video. So, keep your eyes on that, Blake, because you're going to need it. Alright? You just blew your fucking wild card and blew your free hit. You're going to need my advice. 14th place, dropping down another spot, is the ghost himself. That's Morgan. I don't know where that boy's gone. He's disappearing into the ether now. He's getting so bad, he's fallen into the bottom 3 almost. So, where are we? 788, and Sam's only 786, so 2 points away, and he falls into the bottom 3, and that's relegation. It's relegation. You just lose everything from that point. So, Sam, 39 points this week. not a great week again. Got to figure it out, man. Got to do that differential. Got to figure out some stuff. Don't go too crazy. As I said, Mane, man, get Mane in. He's going to be a good shout. Son, Kane, a lot of people. I looked for everybody's teams, and a lot of people have moved out Son and Kane over the last few weeks. So it's going to be maybe some people bringing them back, but they can't bring both back, not easily anyway. So maybe look at getting one of those guys in. Bottom two, still propping up the table, is Corey and then Reese, 17th. Reese, though, having good back-to-back weeks, man. You've had 2 decent weeks now. So you're closing that gap. You're only 50 points behind second to bottom. So backing up with another good week this week. Keep following some advice, taking some punts. I want to see some crazy shit from you, man. I want to get you out of that bottom spot. Fuck, there'll be an award for you if you can get yourself from bottom to second to bottom by the end of the season. There'll be an award there, I promise. So, yeah, that's another week's wrapped up for the Foxes FPL wrap-up. Now, heed my advice, boys. Prepare for game week 18 and game week 19, because those are the game weeks that are going to be very important. But there are another few double game weeks coming up which haven't been announced yet, so don't go blowing all your chips and all your craziness on game week 19 thinking that's it and I need this one to stick. You don't. There is another couple of weeks that are going to have double game weeks, especially with things going on in the UK at the moment, players missing games and stuff with COVID. So keep your eyes open, all right? But game week 18, game week 19, video coming out soon to explain one of the best ways and to prepare yourself if you don't have your chips, all right? So keep your eyes on that, boys. But for me, that's another game week wrap up, and I'll see you guys soon.